What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, I finally got to it, my collection tour of 2024. And it's weird because the last time I did a collection tour on the Ben Thomas Show, it was at my old house, something I no longer own. Things have changed for me in life, but I'm excited to show you guys my new space, how it's set up, what I've got packed in here. It's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of blood, sweat, tears, pain in the wallet, and all the things. But if you guys like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Okay, so guys, we gotta start with the posters out in the living room. Now, you guys know I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Brand New is one of my favorite bands, and Lost is still one of my favorite shows of all time. But here in the TV stand, you see I've got my DeLorean set up. I've got some of my game systems. I really do try to go for the clean look, but sometimes that's a bit hard with all the wires and everything that needs to get packed in that bad boy. Seeing underneath is pretty beautiful. I did have to take Mr. Fusion off the car in order to fit him in the display, but it still looks really cool anyways. Even getting inside here with the lights on the top looks beautiful. I love the way this DeLorean displays. If you're on the fence with this car, honestly, it's hard not to recommend. I think it's beautiful. It is my first 1/6 scale vehicle ever, and I'm glad I pulled the trigger on this one first. It just hits me in the chest for that nostalgia. Now, from the living room, you can see kind of into my actual main collecting room there. I wanted to put most of my collectibles in one room for the most part. There's still lots that's kind of tucked away that I'm going to show you guys later. Today, we're going to look at Hot Toys. We're going to look at Lego figures. I'm going to show you guys my favorite old PS2 games and my N64 games and all of the things. But I totally love what this display looks like. I'm very proud of it. This is the Billy bookcases with Augsburg doors. You can find a DIY display video on the Ben Thomas Show if you're interested in how I actually built them. They sport the Philips Hue light strips, and they're expensive, I will say. It's an investment, but they give you every range of color imaginable, and I love that. Now, this was made for me by my friend Monroe. He designed this on a piece of lumber. He literally took comic wraps, painted it, spray paint tagged it for my channel here specifically and my little office space. I love those types of thoughtful gifts. Now, taking a look at the other side of the streaming desk, you see my Blue Yeti Nano microphone connected to the boom arm with my Blockbuster membership card. I've got my Data USB as well as my Loki Lego minifigure down below the screen, and my Ocarina of Time custom made and 3D printed and painted by Zach, the Oxfather, over at Collecting Weekly. Now, last year I did upgrade the iMac, so that computer has done wonderful things for me regarding YouTube and speed of being able to upload content to you guys. Up above that wall there, you can see my cross stitches that I'll show you in a moment. There's my little partner in crime. Here's my baby Grogu, my Stormtrooper cross stitch, my Heath Ledger Joker one that I'm really proud of, as well as Link. I stitch like an 80-year-old baddie, but it's a great hobby of mine, and I'd love to show you guys more. Check out my Instagram if you want to see some of those as well. This guy I brought back from Las Vegas. He's literally made of old like bolts and screws and nails. Super heavy, really, really cool. These pictures I actually got years and years ago. I think it was 2007 at one of the Toronto Comic-Cons that came up back in Ontario. And these kind of got carried around with me from apartment to apartment, house to house, until I finally now have a collection space. Now, this was made for me by a friend as well, and it's beautiful. It's a bit of a joke because I'm constantly trying to figure out why my cat brings dusty footprints all the way through my apartment, and she literally turned me into a comic book, and I thought that was so thoughtful and wonderful as well. This was also given to me as a gift. You guys might remember this from my old collection tour. I love the Star Wars picture, and it fits there nicely. Up above, I've got these Lego minifigures, and you can see I've got quite the collection. I'm going to show you guys more of my Lego collection. And as an adult collector, I would say Lego is really what got me back into collecting. I loved the concept of seeing a show or a movie and being able to collect a piece of it, right? That nostalgia. And I got addicted to collecting minifigures. I loved the sets, I always had fun building them, but it was the minifigures that really brought me in. Some of my favorites here are definitely that Chewbacca. I love seeing the two different Yodas, kind of the evolution of the Lego there. I think that's really cool. The Stormtroopers got lots of different kind, but the classic troopers are definitely my favorite for sure. But one criticism I had of Lego always was that I had a hard time displaying it in what felt like a classy way. And after I hit about 300 minifigures, I decided to move on. Now, these guys are some of my DC Direct figures, some of them being a little older than the others. The Alfred is actually a new Todd McFarlane version of Alfred, whereas these two characters are a little bit older, that's for sure. Zach actually, from Collecting Weekly, helped me find the Mask of the Phantasm, which I really appreciated. The two different Mr. Freezes here are really cool. It shows the difference in comic art style from the animated series, from when it was the original Batman the Animated Series to when it actually went over to the New Adventures, and the art style changed quite a bit. They muted the colors down a lot, really kind of made people look a little more evil. You can see here even that Poison Ivy, she's a lot more muted than that green-suited, vibrant, red-haired version that we saw earlier. But her posed up with Killer Croc, I think, looks kind of fun. And of course, it wouldn't be a DC animated display without Joker and his girl Harley. And I love this. I love them together. They're beautiful. That Harley was hard to find. And honestly, the Joker, he's actually from the Expressions pack, so he's got about 5 to 7 different faces. I can't remember exactly, but really cool. Now again, this Riddler, not the original, this is actually the New Adventures Riddler, but he's posed up next to Scarecrow, looks really good with the Penguin. I love the Penguin has his coffee cup with a saucer spoon, one of those accessories that you know you'll lose one day, but so far I've been able to keep it kind of together. Now let's start jumping into some Hot Toys here. This is of course my Christopher Reeve Hot Toy, and I love Chris Reeve. I thought he was amazing as Superman. He'll always be in my heart as the guy, the Superman, as much as I loved Henry Cavill and some of the other offerings that we've got over time. The Wonder Woman here is from Wonder Woman 84. Now, while I didn't love the movie, I actually think this figure is really underrated. The suit is beautiful, the coloration on the outfit is wonderful, very shiny. The hair being sculpted, I think looks really good, and I think that the likeness to Gal Gadot is also really strong. I feel like it's an underrated figure, but if you don't want to deal with rooted hair, I think she's a contender for best Wonder Woman out there. Now, of course, we got the Nightmare Justice League 2-pack. And when I got this figure, it was right around the time where Henry Cavill was being taken out of the DCEU, and that was really disappointing, and I immediately wanted to get him in the collection. Of course, now InArt's giving us an offering coming up pretty soon in the blue and red suit, and I've got my eyes on that one as well, but this Nightmare Batman is also really good. Now, I know a lot of you out there have actually switched the jacket for this guy, I think to the Daft Toys one if I'm not mistaken. It's beautiful, but to be honest, I still really like this stock coat that comes with it. I think it's kind of rugged and grimy looking and looks like it's from that scene. With the right pose, I'm pretty friggin' happy with it. I also really like the accessories with this guy. The binoculars and everything, really, really cool. Now, my Dark Knight is a DX12. He does have the custom Jackson Jew cape. He also does have the Armory Batman head sculpt. Now you'll see there is a little oil print on that sculpt. Unfortunately, I got it that way. You can't really see it in most lighting except for when you're taking some pretty high definition photos of it. But with the upgrade with that Armory sculpt and the Jackson Jew cape, to be honest, I haven't ever felt the need to upgrade this guy into the DX19 or even the newest Armory version that's being on pre-order now. Now this is my Rooted InArt Joker. I did get the 2-pack. You'll see the jail cell diorama here pretty shortly. This, such an iconic pose from such a wonderful scene. Now, I will say, for the money, this guy is still absolutely amazing, but there has always been some part of me that feels like the likeness is just not 100%. And maybe I'm just asking too much, but Heath Ledger's Joker is easily one of my favorite characters of all time. So I have actually put in the order on the Type A J&D. I'm hoping I'm not gambling with my money there, but I thought that prototype looked almost better than what InArt gave us, so it remains to be seen. Now, right now, of course, these Jokers are in the same film. I've got my Jack Nicholson DX08 Joker here. I love this figure for the age. I think this is now somewhere between 10 and 14 years old. The likeness to Jack Nicholson is fantastic. The accessories, beautiful. Mars Toys just gave us their version recently, and while I thought their version also looked really good, the funny hat that they gave him and everything just highlights again how good this Hot Toys version is. Now, if we're going to look at the jail cell diorama, I would also say that I do love this piece. I love the way that it's painted and how rustic it looks. The seamless forearms on this particular character are also a huge, huge selling point. The paint apps are beautiful. However, I didn't love the face on this particular sculpt, so I'm actually kind of cheating with my display here and using the jail cell bars to somewhat hide the sculpt, to give it more of that Joker look. Is that sacrilegious for the Joker? Maybe. I know most of you guys have your Joker figure posed up on the bench facing out. This guy, for me, is behind the bars, and if I were going to sell one of the Jokers, it would probably be this guy, and I would keep my DX11, which is crazy considering the age. Now, part of my Dark Knight display, it has to be mentioned that, of course, I love this 2.0 Hot Toys Two-Face Harvey Dent. He's a beautiful figure. While I do agree with the collectors out there that say the paint applications could have been a little bit better for kind of the juicy nature of his, wrecked skin, I still think it looks pretty freaking cool. I'm not gonna lie, that the suit all charred up like that looks really, really fun. This is kind of always how I've had this guy displayed though. I, kind of picture him standing behind the bar, taking that shot, getting ready to kill that dude. Now, Bane, this is the 1.0 version of Bane. I actually got this figure loose years ago for about $110. So this is all the accessories this guy comes with. I don't have the Bane 2.0 on order yet, mostly because I'm worried about scaling. I'm worried he's going to be so much bigger than both my DX12 Batman and some of the other characters that I've got going, so remains to be seen. Now, sticking with the DC lineup here, though, of course, we got the Batman Forever figures, the Batman and Robin. Now, would I have preferred the Panther suit for this Batman, the black suit? Yeah, definitely. This is the Sonar version of the suit, which is kind of from later in the film. But it does display beautifully. I like the likeness to the actor in there. I can see it in the mouth plate. Val Kilmer was so iconic. But I will say that these figures are a little disappointing because there's almost no posability whatsoever. I got this guy to have kind of a cape pose that I liked, and it, to be honest, brought the figure a little bit to life for me in terms of the Robin. But with them both together, they do look beautiful. They're just not really fun. That's the worst part. But the nostalgic side of me, I love. The nipples on the Batsuit is ridiculous. I know most of you guys call this guy Throbbing. I hope you liked some of my panning shots there for the guy so you could see what we're talking about. It's aggressive. I don't even understand it, but that's what we got, and I'm happy to have these guys still in the collection. Now, this is a unique shelf because obviously this is a bit of running out of space or trying to keep my space maintained. We're looking at the original Neo. And I love Keanu Reeves. I love the original Matrix. It's such a good movie. And even for the age of this particular figure, it honestly still holds up really well. I like the different textures on the boots. I like all the guns that he comes with. The glasses actually fit and fit pretty well. I leave them on the ground because I want to see that likeness to Keanu. And I do see it in there. Sometimes I tease that this looks a little bit like Justin from Justin's collection. I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, I still definitely see Keanu in there as well. And when I don't have other Keanu figures to compare him to, he looks pretty good. Now this really stands out. This is, of course, Peacemaker from the Peacemaker TV show. The pant texturing is insane. The outfit's insane. The body's insane. It's super posable. The Peacemaker gun, while hard to get out of the holster initially, does come out and even has a silencer. And the likeness to John Cena under that mask literally blows me away. Considering all you can really see is the lower half of his face, I think it's friggin' impressive and I love it. Now this is more of my 80s display that we're getting into next. I've got the RoboCop from RoboCop 3. Now because he comes with very obviously Peter Weller mouth plates, to me, in my mind's eye, I see this as more of the RoboCop 1 or RoboCop 2 version. The jetpack this guy comes with is really cool, but it has stayed in the box since I got it. Now the die-cast gun that this guy comes with for his holster and his leg, really nice little standout piece. The joints around the shoulders bothered me, but depending on the pose that you find for it, I actually think you can really pose around it, and that's okay. Even the joints at the wrists bother me a little bit, but again, because he's a robot or cyborg, whatever you want to call it, I think it can be kind of passed off. Now this is the T800 MMS 117. This is about a 14-year-old figure now. And you can tell that the likeness isn't 100% to Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I don't even care, guys. I love this figure. Great condition, no peeling on the leather bits at all. The shirt that he comes with is swappable for a black t-shirt for the more iconic portion of the scene. The box of roses that are coming out with the shotgun is just so good for me, and I love it. Now, going with my 80s kind of display here, we've got my Marty and Doc Brown. This is the Marty 2.0, doesn't come with the guitar, instead he came with Einstein. And while I still think that Einstein looks like a stick of melted butter, as soon as I did get the Doc Brown that came with the, the clock that could go around Einie's neck, it really did amp up my love for the dog. The details on Marty are amazing, all the different pins he has and his headphone wires. Even just the wiring in his life preserver, I want to call it, it all looks really, really good. And to be honest, I absolutely love this figure, while I don't think that the likeness to Marty McFly is 100%. Now, this figure pissed a lot of people off because everybody wants a good Doc Brown, right? And this has a lot of potential. The cardboard plutonium case, not a deal breaker for me, even though I know it really upset people at the time. All the tools this guy comes with in his belt, though, are insane. This is 100% one of those figures you want to read the instructions on, I would recommend. But once he is pieced together, it looks so good. Even the remote control, with those old school stickers on the back, the up and down and the reset, I had those and tagged everything when I was a kid. And so, again, just the nostalgia of looking at this piece really makes me happy. Even his little wristwatch that he has that covers the wrist joint, I think is good. My biggest criticism is definitely the head sculpt. Seeing those holes from the recasting of this is unacceptable, Hot Toys. And to be honest, even the likeness, not so great. Now let's start taking a look over here at the Star Trek shelf that I've got. Now, it's not very filled out yet, but I do have Locutus of Borg so far, as well as Data. This Locutus, I love. I think the likeness to Sir Patrick Stewart is amazing. This figure is not posable at all, I will say. And I will caution you, if you guys get this, be careful about those wires kind of on the headpiece there. Also, swapping the batteries was a little bit confusing. I honestly didn't think that I got the right version at first. But once he's standing in the display, for me, this is absolutely Locutus of Borg, and it represents such a great memory for me watching, Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and Part 2 back in the day. And this was the Locutus of Borg in my collection previously, the old school Playmates version. And while I still even love this carded version, that new Exo 6 version takes the cake by far. Now, First Contact Data here is also really, really good. I'm still waiting on my next generation version of Data with Spot. Still hasn't come yet in his yellow outfit. So for now, this is my Brent Spiner, and I love him. I think he looks so good. I was pissed that the wrist pegs didn't match, but it wasn't the end of the world. He's got his phaser rifle there. And again, looking at my Playmates version, that's what was in the display. Next to Geordie LaForge, of course, as well as my Borg drone, which I wish Exo 6 would consider giving us a few of, my Romulan, and Counselor Deanna Troi, of course. Now, up in my Star Wars display, I've got the Beskar Mandalorian. Now, I know that the Chrome version exists, and I honestly do think it's superior to this one. But this still hits home for me. This is right at the heat of when Mandalorian was getting really popular, and I couldn't wait to get this guy in my display because he's such a badass. Little Grogu next to him. I've got him in that kind of traditional walking pose. I can just envision the guy walking through the desert or into a badass scene every time I look at this figure. And I love that aspect of 1/6 scale collecting. I feel like the inspired creativity. When you find that pose that you can just close your eyes and picture the scene, I love that. Now, with my Empire Strikes Back Vader here, this was a toss-up for me because I've got the Return of the Jedi version on order, as well as the Kenobi Vader on order, and I really don't think I need 3 Vaders. But I was dying to have a Vader in my collection over Christmas for some reason, and I picked this guy up, and I'm not disappointed. He is very good. While I would say the helmet's a little high, I actually used a little stick tack to stick it down a little bit, which helped, but it's a little high. Love the Vader though, and the display diorama he comes with is amazing. Darth Maul here, this is from Solo Maul. I loved this film overall, even though I think it's still a little underrated classically. This guy is easily one of my favorite figures in the collection. I think the actor likeness is even really strong, and he's just a badass. I like the look of him with his hood up. Now this is my farm boy Luke, and I know that for a lot of people this is a chase figure, and while this is a great figure, don't get me wrong, comes with some great accessories, including his little blaster shield, helmet that he's got, and that little training device that he has in the New Hope, I would say wait for this guy to be reissued. I think we'll see him again, especially around the 50th anniversary of A New Hope, and I would not be surprised if we saw him. While it's a great figure, wait, don't chase. Not that one. Bo-Katan here, beautiful figure. I like the posability actually of her. I was always really surprised by how high up I could get her arms, and her ankles are really stiff, but in a good way. You can make this person look like she's literally walking and shooting, and I love that aspect of this particular figure. Now, I love Katie Sackhoff as well, and I've loved Katie ever since her Battlestar Galactica days as Starbuck, but I don't love the head sculpt for the figure. To be honest, I think that the helmet is actually prettier than the head sculpt itself, so she stays in the box, which feels like a damn shame, not gonna lie. Now, of course, I've got my clean Stormtrooper on the left from Return of the Jedi, and my Shadow Trooper on the right. I don't usually like to display two figures in one square, but this is one area that I actually really like that exception to my little bit of a rule there. I think they look really beautiful together, and they look like they're supposed to stand together, unlike other characters where, yes, they're from the same movie, but it might look a little strange or like you're running out of display space, so you had to do it. I don't get that sense. Now, for me, the definitive Boba Fett still is absolutely the Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. The amount of looks this character comes with, the amount of sheer accessories I still just have in the box in my closet are insane. But this is the version of Boba Fett that I like to look at when I'm looking at my display. And while he doesn't come with a head sculpt, he doesn't come with any of that stuff, to me, if I had to be asked what's the definitive Boba Fett out there, it's Empire Strikes Back, 100%. Now this is actually the Venom 1.0 figure, but I bought the head sculpt with the Tom Hardy likeness from Lane Kramer out there in the collector community. Thanks to Lane, big shout out there, and I love this look. To me, honestly, ever since I got the Tom Hardy likeness there, that's what's been on the figure, and it's really brought it to life for me. And I'm going to show you why I display it that way here shortly. But he's right beside Moon Knight, which is a very underrated figure in my opinion, at least for those who don't have him in hand, because I still know that he ended up kind of on the top 10 list for a lot of collectors that ever got him in hand last year, even though the show was lukewarm for a lot of people. The posability here is actually still pretty strong with this guy, and even though I don't display him with his lights on, I still think it looks really beautiful in the display, and I'm really happy to have him. I also liked the show, which is part of the reason I bought the figure, so teach their own, I think, for that one. Now, this is my Tom Holland upgraded suit. This is actually the only Spider-Man I have in the collection right now. I do have a few more on order, including that Tobey Maguire, which I'm hoping I get from Sideshow friggin' any day now. But for the moment, this is the only Spider-Man I've got, and I really like him. Again, his likeness to the actor when you see the other head sculpt is really strong, but for the only Spider-Man in the collection, I kind of wanted to keep the mask on. Now, I was so excited because I got my Days of Future Past Wolverine in the display with Deadpool finally, even though they're not yet in the same movie together. Deadpool 3's around the corner, and while I love this Deadpool 2 suit, the amount of accessories this guy comes with is amazing. All the different eyes and, expressions you can get from him are so fun. I've seen some people say that they've had peeling issues with the suit. I so far, knock on wood, haven't had any with him, but it does look like Deadpool 3 suit is going to be a little bit more comic inspired. So I'm actually kind of excited to get another Deadpool down the line from Hot Toys. And I'll be curious to see what kind of ridiculous stuff he comes with, just like the pony. And with him next to Hugh Jackman, I don't even care that these guys aren't from the same movie. I absolutely love it. Now, in my video for Wolverine on the Ben Thomas Show, you got a chance to see him in his leather jacket. This is currently the way I've got this guy displayed now, with the sleeves rolled up, because those seamless forearms are friggin' awesome, guys. And the chest hair on this dude makes him come to life for me for some reason. Maybe because I can't grow a lick of chest hair, so I just respect the guys that can. But this guy looks so cool, and I haven't been able to get those claws to work yet, but either way, I think it's pretty awesome in my display. My Captain America Endgame Captain with Iron Man Mark 7 looks fantastic for me as well. While I don't think that the likeness to Chris Evans here is perfect, I still absolutely know who the heck this guy is, and the stature on this figure is phenomenal. I love the texturing on the outfit and the suit. I've got him holding his helmet and Mjolnir as well, and so I think that's really fun. Even the texture on the hammer looks really, really good. And again, I like having him in a kind of power pose in my display. I think it looks really strong, and he's got some of the best stability of any character I've got. Now this is the Iron Man diecast Mark 7. I got this suit because originally the Mark 3 was a plastic version and not available, and I wanted to recreate that scene essentially from the desert in that first Iron Man film, and the Mark 7 was the closest I could get to the Mark 3 suit. Now of course the Mark 3 suit is available, but I love the Mark 7 so much that I honestly don't feel the need to get the other one. And this is why I wanted to show you guys that pose for Venom earlier. This is my cross-stitch of Venom holding the Spider-Man mask, and I put those together next to my Battle Damage Endgame Thanos. And I gotta say, I love this figure as well. I mean, I love everything in my collection, let's be honest, but this guy really stands out. I know there are folks out there, even like Will Fox Vacation, that says they didn't love this guy in their collection, which blows me away, because to be honest, I think the armor looks fantastic. The battle damage on this guy looks really amazing. The sweat beating down his face looks really greasy and awesome. I think the likeness there to Brolin is fantastic in the CGI. And every time I look at him, I love it even more. Now it's weird because I do have the Black Panther as well as Killmonger in my collection, but I don't display them together as you see. The Killmonger is an amazing figure though, and after I saw Wakanda Forever, I immediately went out and purchased in reverse, backtracked a little bit, and got the Killmonger. And while currently I don't have the Michael B. Jordan head sculpt displayed, it's also a really strong likeness to Michael B. Jordan, and I will show that to you guys here upcoming shortly in the video. But I love this figure. If you've ever considered trying to get this guy in your collection, I would still recommend him. I think he's fantastic. Even just the printing on the suit, top notch. But I've got him next to my War Machine Mark 1 reissue figure that I got while I was in OxCon last year in San Antonio, Texas. And this guy has grown on me. I'm not gonna lie, when I first put him in the collection, I felt like I hadn't needed it. But I continued to pose it and continued to play with kind of what it looked like, and I really started to like it more. Now, forgive the mask there, you can see it was off center slightly, because the magnet in the top of the head's not great, but I think that the likeness to the actor is really good, and as soon as I popped that face kind of outward like that, it actually made me like the figure even more. Don Cheadle's a badass actor, and the fact that he's now in my collection, I think is really cool. This is also just an absolute beast of a figure. It's die-cast, it's chunky, I love it. Now this figure has a lot of heat, right? This is the Endgame Loki. People waited for this guy for so freaking long. And I've got mine displayed holding the Tesseract, just like that scene, right as though he's about to zap into the TVA universe Loki, which I also have next to him. And look at the likeness in comparison. That classic Loki figure, the TVA version, looks so good. And I love the variant jacket he comes with. Miss Minutes that he comes with is also really fun. He also even comes with a computer and lots of different like display pieces for his hands that kind of friction fit in, but hold pretty nicely, I will say. While some of the seams on this guy do bug me a little bit, I actually still think it looks really good. And the forearm veining detail is also really good. I feel like it was just kind of a missed opportunity for them to not give us fully seamless forearms, but that's okay. This figure is actually one of my favorite in the collection. Now I have the Netflix Punisher on the shelf with my original suit, Black Panther, and I gotta say I love the two of them put together. The coloration is great. I did have Black Panther beside Killmonger at one point, but I decided to switch it up, and I'm glad I did. The John Bernthal head sculpt here, aka Jeremy Benthal, if you know you know, looks fantastic. I love the suit. I do think the skull could have been painted a little bit better. I have seen some custom jobs done out there of people making that shift. I love that this comes with the big sniper rifle and the minigun. It's also got the really cool Daredevil cowl there that actually has like red lenses. If you shine a light through it, they kind of glow, which is really cool. Now, because the new Daredevil Born Again series is going to be MCU canon, I'll be curious to see if we see Jon Bernthal reprise his role as the Punisher, or even some flashbacks. I wonder if we'll see him again. So stay tuned, maybe on the Hot Toys front. Now, beside him, T'Challa, the King. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I love this figure for the most part. I would say that the sculpt is somewhere in the 8 to 8.5 range. It's good, you know who it is, but for this particular character and actor, I kind of feel like they did him a little dirty. I think they could have done a bit better of a sculpt, especially in memoriam to the actor himself. However, the suit is beautiful. The musculature under the suit is really nice. The helmet looks beautiful. I even like the claws on the toes. Those look really good. The hand sculpts are really good. To me, this is a great figure and not a bad price overall to have, once again, the King, the Black Panther, T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman in the collection. Now, I have had some of you ask me what I do with all my shipper boxes and display boxes, and I gotta say, I don't have a great system, to be honest. This is the closet that I use in the collection room. It's got some of the stuff that I grab for most often. You can see a couple display boxes in there. Up on top gets a little wild because it is literally packed to the brim with display boxes and art boxes. But again, there's nothing really special there, guys. But still, this is part of the collection room. This is where I keep my accessories tray. Now, for extra accessories, the pieces that I don't necessarily have on display but I like to swap out more so on the regular, I've got this stashed in my closet. And you'll see things here like my RoboCop mouth plates, a couple of tools, right? You know, get the battery packs off, pair of scissors, never leave home without it. You got the crazy glue, which always comes in clutch when it comes to Hot Toys. This was given to me years ago. I've been meaning to build it for years. It's just gonna probably stay in the box for now. I'll get there eventually. And of course, Mr. Fusion is floating around the box because, like I said at the beginning of the video, unfortunately for my display, it doesn't fit on the car in the display, so I keep it here, but it's a really nice little piece just the same. What else is in here? We've got some extra wrist pegs, of course. We got a display base. We even got a DC Direct display base there. In the center console, we've got some different hands, some swap out ones. These are some of my more recent figures, or ones that I've been posing up a little bit more. So Venom there, you see some Deadpool ones in there, some Darth Vader ones. What else? Oh, RoboCop. This is the RoboCop arm cannon piece that you can swap out as well, which looks cool, but I do like the normal look for him. And then, of course, an additional Infinity Gauntlet without the stones, I believe. Yes. Oh, no, that one has the stones in it, but still very, very cool. Now, up in the top section here, I keep a few extra head displays. So, of course, Michael B. Jordan here that we're looking at. Put this tray down and get a better look. We got the extra 2 Venom head sculpts. This is, of course, the smiling portrait that the 1.0 figure came with, as well as the tongue out piece. This one is so cool still. It seems like a shame to not have this Venom sculpt on, but I just love that Tom Hardy likeness in there so much more. And again, with Michael B. Jordan here, this is actually the head sculpt I've had on this figure for about a year. I just recently put the mask or cowl sculpt back on. We've got Pink Eye Superman here. I don't like the way that looks. Lit up, it's okay. But again, looks like he's got a bad case of pink eye otherwise. And then, of course, my First Contact Data additional head sculpt with the human skin graft there from First Contact. I love that movie. If you're not a huge Star Trek person, it's still a great movie. And then we've got the sad Thanos look. You love to see it. Poor bastard. Now, this isn't actually all of the head sculpt extras that I have, because I still have kept a lot of things in the boxes in my closet. But these are some of the swap outs that I've done more recently. Of course, the Thanos helmet there as well, which I don't love on the character. I actually really like seeing his bald head. Of course, it wouldn't be a collection room without some sticky tack. I definitely recommend that for some figure durability as well as stickability to the counter, and random other stuff. These are those head sculpts, or at least a better look at them. Now, up on the top of my display above my Star Wars collection, I've got a couple of some of my favorite art boxes there, as well as my Neca Ninja Turtle 7-inch figures. And there's some amazing ones in here. The Master Shredder looks so good. The sparkliness of the outfit is on point. When you take that mask off, he actually has the scratches across his face from Splinter. Love that. And the cape is really posable and pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie, for a 7-inch figure. Now, I love these turtles though. The paint applications on these guys are amazing and they photograph so well. On my wish list of 1/6 scale figures in the future, this 90s Turtles movie would be up there for sure, but I will say that these guys do an amazing job standing in the collection, and I love them. The Raphael looks great with his size. Absolutely love that piece. And again, just kind of depending on the angle you see it at, every picture you take with it is really fun and really brings it to life, surprisingly. And it maybe is because of the prosthetic type of outfit that he's got on there. I mean, it looks like it's literally pulled directly out of the movie. Leonardo here as well with his blades. I wish the blades were die cast, but I mean, let's be honest, it's still a much lower price point figure. You can see he's standing on a box season of Angel. Don't judge me, people. I get it. Back in the day, I liked that show, okay? But these turtles needed a bit of a prop up in the collection. I think one of the downfalls of the Billy display cabinets with the Oxburg is that they are kind of framed in a little bit, and for the top shelf anyways, you lose about half of a 7-inch figure if he's standing right on the counter. Now, the Michelangelo there, also really love the figure. His nunchucks are really fun to pose. The wire in between makes it look dynamic and almost like he's swinging it, literally in action, which I think is a really cool aspect of it. Now, the April O'Neil and Casey Jones that I have here, in my opinion, are actually the weakest of this line. While I think that they're pretty good, the joints and seams on them are ugly. Look at the shoulder on that Casey Jones. It's so friggin' ugly, guys. But the little pencil and the artwork that April comes with is kind of cool, I will give it that. Now, you guys wanted a bit of a display of kind of behind the scenes of what goes on at the Ben Thomas Show as well. This is the light box that I film in. As you can see, it takes up a huge portion of my desk, which is insane. But this kind of gives you an idea of when I'm doing random filming or unboxings. This gives you a chance to see what it looks like. Now, I put up a poll the other day and asked you guys if you just wanted to see Hot Toys in the collection or everything, and the big consensus was you guys wanted to see most things. So this is where I keep my Lego minifigures at the moment. Now, I've scaled back a big portion of my collection. I used to have over 350, but as you guys can see, there's still a lot of figures in this box. So I'm going to set them up and I'm going to show you what we got. Starting out with some Batman. Now, I had started collecting Lego Batman figures specifically, and it kind of branched out from there. Of course, then I needed all the DC villains, and I looked at all the heroes and everything, but Batman was really what got me kind of started on the Lego figures. And then, of course, I got the tumbler at one point, the big Lego tumbler that came with the Heath Ledger Joker. Now, this is one of the more rare Lego figures that I actually have in my collection, and I love it. But all my little display of Jokers here I really like. You see, of course, the Heath Ledger there. You see some of the Lego Batman film figures. I've got a third-party Suicide Squad version of Joker there, the Jared Leto, and, of course, the man in the red hood. Now, I've got a lot of different doubles, but I wanted to show you guys some of the figures that I have that are duplicates, but also show evolution of these characters. My Robins, my Aquaman there you saw. These Robins are pretty cool, even the Nightwing that you see. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'd say probably the one with the hood. And then I've got 3 cyborgs as well, which is really unique for Lego. Cool little figures there. I've got my Zod and my Lois Lane standing next to the cyborgs. I got my couple Wonder Women here, as well as my 3 James Gordons, my 2 Mr. Freezes, of course. Of course, it wouldn't be a display without Two-Face and his henchmen, as well as Deathstroke, Batgirl, we got Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, a couple different Flashes, including the old school Flash and my custom Reverse Flash in there. We have these badass ladies right here. And I love that cheetah, to be honest. And Harley's as well, of course. The Man-Bat was actually the first Lego figure I got with the set with Batman, and that's what really got me into Lego collecting. A few more of the DC gallery here that I've got on display. Always liked that Sinestro. As a Lego figure, really cool. Hawkman there. Oh, and Bane. Love to see it. Darkseid, very nice. I only have Darkseid and Hulk as my two largest LEGO figures, but I'd love a red Hulk at some point. We've got some Winter Soldier action in here. Clearly this is my more Avengers style display with my Black Panthers in there as well. And my setup of Captain America's, which I absolutely love. Now these are my Iron Men, and these guys are awesome. There's a couple customs in here, not all 100% authentic LEGO. That Iron Patriot is actually one of the more valuable LEGO figures I have in the collection at the moment, because he was very rare when it came out. Now, of course, I also have my little Spider-Verse that I wanted to show you guys. I love these guys. I do think that the Tom Holland there is actually really fun. Of course, we've got the Hunter Spider-Man there as well. I try to keep one figure in my collection that has a different outfit. So if I ever get doubles, I usually sell those off. You'll notice that the Carnages are different, the Venoms are different, all the Spider-Men are different, all those Supermen were different. Again, if it's a duplicate, it gets sold. Now for the remainder of the Marvel display, I've got a lot of fun ones in here as well. I love that Sandman in there. Nova, really cool. A couple different ones, even the Red Skull. I mean, that makes me happy. I've had that one a really long time. Pairs well with Captain America. My Mysterio, Groot, Rocket. Rocket's a little oversized, I would say there. Vulture, doesn't come with anything otherwise. Ghost Rider. Oh, my custom Punisher, love that figure. We got the What If Gamora, as well as T'Challa. We've got the two Thors there next to Brie Larson, and a couple Nick Furies in there, as well as my Scarlet Witch. This is my little X-Men display, nothing too crazy. But then we get into my Simpsons LEGO figures, and I absolutely loved the Simpsons when I was younger. And I actually really like these figures as well. I do have the Simpsons house, but for fear of losing pieces over time and having it break and stuff, I keep it disassembled in the box in the closet. So that's not part of this collection tour specifically. But again, I try not to have any doubles in my collection. And there's some really fun ones. I love that Krusty the Clown, but honestly, all of these guys. Willie in there, love to see it. Miss Krabappel, comic book guy, Flanders with his sausage, Mr. Burns and Smithers, and more here. I love to see all of these guys. Now, these are my random figures that I've got. Hippie Guy, Indiana Jones, The Mask, Buzz Lightyear, couple of Mickeys, in there as well. Steamboat Willie. We've got Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. And I love the pencil eraser dude and banana guy as well. Now, I also have been a member of Collecting Weekly's membership channel there for quite some time, and every month I get stickers sent to me in the mail. So this is just my little collection of stickers that I wanted to show you guys. Now you'll notice the inappropriate ones up in the top corner here in a moment. Those did not come from Collecting Weekly. It did come from the Calgary Sex Show from 2022, so don't judge me. But you know what? They're stickers. They're in the collection. So I decided to share those guys with you. Of course, who doesn't? Now, guys, this is my Switch case and my Pogs that Collecting Weekly had created, and I want to share with you some of my favorite video games in my collection. Now, again, I try to keep my favorites, right? But of course, Zelda Ocarina of Time is my favorite game of all time. I think many of you have heard me say that before. Excite Bike back in the day. Turok 2, so good. So much fun back in the day. Diddy Kong Racing, underrated game, to be honest. The battle mode in that game was super fun and honestly better than Mario Kart in my opinion. Super Mario 64, classic. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, absolute classic, and I love the blue cartridge. And Super Smash Bros., which is a game I love, but totally suck at. And Rogue Squadron. Do any of you guys remember Rogue Squadron? It's so cool. I wish they would update that game and do a remake, but is what it is. 1080 snowboarding, of course, and James Bond there you saw. GoldenEye, absolute classic. Now, it's funny because on the Switch, I've got most of these games available, but I still have the old system that I'll show you that I do like to plug in every once in a while and have some game time. My Maximum Carnage, this is a grail for me. It's something that I've kept in my collection for years. I have never wanted to get rid of it, but it's still one of the hardest freaking games ever because there's no save points. And it's really easy to die in that game. Now, of course, you can see the abuse some of these cartridges have had, so don't judge, of course, please. Now I got these guys from Walmart, love them. Not the best coasters overall, but really fun for maybe a gaming display or an entertainment room setup, so something cool. Now again, this is my collection room, and I've got lots of stuff in here that just mean something to me, and my PlayStation 2 games remind me of the younger days, the good old days when you don't have any stress and you could just sit there and play games for hours. That's exactly what I did with some of these. Splinter Cell that you just saw, the Max Payne game, Grand Theft Auto Vice City was my first game on PlayStation 2, Prince of Persia Sands of Time is easily one of my favorite games of all time. Great platforming, really great story. Burnout 3 was an amazing game for its time and still honestly holds up as being really fun. Guitar Hero, Simpsons Hit and Run, you saw God of War in there. Really, really cool. I was a Sega Genesis guy, so I had Aladdin in the mix there as well, but again, wanted to show you guys what the old case looked like. And then, of course, San Andreas, Black, Batman Begins, all classic games. When I eventually moved to the PS3, there were some great ones. The Lollipop Chainsaw is actually done by James Gunn, and it's a really fun game if you ever get a chance to put your hands on it. And then, of course, some nostalgic, more collectible versions of these games, the Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. Still looking for the Captain America one. Just Cause 2, easily one of the best games I ever played. Loved the original Uncharted, and that X-Men Origins Wolverine, such a good Wolverine game. Red Dead Redemptions, Force Unleashed, wonderful games. Of course, can't be a PS3 collection without Arkham City in there, and Skyrim, one of the games that I put the most time into. And then, like I said earlier, Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games of all time. I've got this old school box still in a plastic container here to preserve it. I absolutely love this. This adds to the value of this for sure in terms of a collectible. And it's just so cool. It reminds me of a time that's long gone now, unfortunately. I had this Super Nintendo. This is right from when I was a kid. I know there was another version of the Super Nintendo there at one point as well. As you can see, this thing's got some road wearing, but still holds up pretty well. I love the little Mario sticker on the back with the phone number. My N64, this is still my original N64. I can't believe this thing still functions. After, what, 20 years? Easily 20 years. It's mind-blowing. I've tried to keep it in good shape, as you can see, but it's still one of my favorite systems of all time. Absolutely, absolutely love it. My PlayStation 2 still holds up, still working condition. I'm surprised the disc tray didn't eventually break, because I played the shit out of the PlayStation 2 when it came out. I still remember seeing what a PlayStation 2 game like Vice City looked like after even my N64 days, and it blew me away, the capability in that unit. And it's a great looking machine, even still, honestly, after all these years. So guys, that's it for the collection tour of 2024. I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments below, was there anything that really stood out to you guys? I'd love to hear from you. But if you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and thanks for watching, everybody.
I'll be back.